of Physician Present Report Service, and I'm a physician prison consultant. From Hospice News, which came out May 1, 2026, they're now Department of Justice is looking at healthcare fraud, but they're looking at hospices now. And they're looking specifically for tax fraud. And so this healthcare fraud strike force, we'll open this up for you a little bit here. And this is the article which goes through this what the strike force is going to do from the Midwest into California, and they're looking at what they're considering fraud, mostly tax fraud in the healthcare sector, but from Hospice News. And still, DOJ is the number one target. Risk management is protecting yourself from False Claims Act civil, but now it's going to be criminal exposure also. So we're going to open up this here, see if I can make this larger when the option becomes available. Okay, and so this is from August 2025, clinicians.com, healthcare risk management. Whether you use them or another service, independent of you, it's important to be able to have policies and procedures in place that are followed, as well as internal audits done by those, and external, but internal audits that can be done by someone on staff or by other companies that you pay to come in. And if at minimum you have done all of that and you still get dinged by the Department of Justice, your attorneys should be able to work out a lesser type of infraction for you. Here they go over False Claims Act, the misuse of opioids and more fraud investigations. I've had a client that is involved. I don't want to I'll use the term pill mill. I don't think it was a pill mill, but with the understanding that fentanyl, which to me is just crazy, being now out there for the public to use because it can and will kill you. They are paying much more attention now to opioids abuse. Artificial intelligence is a new threat to data security because it could break through it. Telehealth fraud requires scrutiny beyond the standard of care. Telehealth was extended from January 1 through December, I guess, 30 or 31 of the end of 2026. But it's going to require that at minimum you have documentation and face-to-face encounters with your patients. You can't say they're not going to rely on either no documentation or no face-to-face encounters via the internet, because the Department of Justice will be talking to your patients. Legal review and commentary suit dismissed after mixing board certifications. Hospital wins after nurses excluded from a neonatal injury suit. But it's going on of things that were important at the time of this publication in August 2025. I'm sure that these topics have been updated, but the idea is that you need something. The DOJ launched, as I've reviewed, the West Coast Healthcare Fraud Task Force, which collaborated with attorneys in Arizona, Nevada, California, DEA, FBI. The initiative aims to tackle healthcare fraud by using data analytics to identify this fraud across these states. And so between AI and data analytics, the AI works 24/7, 365. They don't give you a hard time. They don't ask to go out to dinner. And they work all the time. And so if they look hard enough, they could find it. So if you're billing outside of it for a certain procedure or service, outside of those other practitioners or hospitals in your geographic area, this may trigger an audit by the Department of Justice. Assistant Attorney General stated that this task force has already led to the prosecution of over 6,200 individuals linked to 45 billion in fraudulent claims. It's not good. Their target, medical device and wound care companies. And there was a conviction of 2 wound graft company owners in Arizona, and the Department of Justice used their analytics to target their company for fraudulently billing medically unnecessary applications, illegal kickbacks, and upcoding. You need to document. I mean, I've used these wound care products. You need to document their necessity, and you need to do it. You can't just bill and not do. And again, you want to make sure that you're not billing. You want to be documenting everything you do. And if you're doing more than other physicians or other hospitals are in your area, you need to document the why of your patient market. Substance abuse treatment, Department of Health and Human Services has joined the effort, and they are also using the AI to identify which doctors are prescribing the most medications, in relation to their peers. And then they're going to look for documentations on all the patients. And when it gets to the nitty gritty, you want to make sure that you have policies and procedures in place that document the need for the medication on the date you had in-person or telehealth visit for that particular person. Digital technology is when enforcements have expanded to tackle fraud in the digital healthcare sector, particularly involving telemedicine and illegal online distribution of controlled substances. It's a very big and wide open target for them. The tax fraud project, I haven't opened this in a while. Oh, yeah. And this came CMS. This is November 26th. So that actually was November 26th of 2025. This has been ongoing as compared to what this article was started on, which is today. But if they identify a tax fraud to combat healthcare and it involves tax auditing, California was identified as a fraud hotspot and has implemented a moratorium on new hospice enrollments for physicians, revoking over 280 licenses. Well, this doesn't just harm the patient who is going to have less ability to get hospice care. The physicians are going to be left out. And so the need for more investigative resources is highlighted. Hillary Loeffler, the National Alliance for Care at Home, who suggested better targeting rather than new regulations. This is a shorter YouTube, but I guess my takeaway here is that if you're importing, don't try and get out of paying the tariffs that you have to pay on products coming into the country or devices coming into the country. And for risk management, have some sort of risk management profile should you wind up getting with a surprise audit one day. I thank you very much for your time and listening in, and I hope you have a good day. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for taking your time to tune into my videos. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to give me a call. I'm a physician. I too have been through the federal system, and I was able to get my medical license reinstated, and I'd like to be able to pass on what I've learned to you. Again, thank you very much for taking the time to listen, and I hope everyone has a safe day.